Alrighty, everyone. So, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are. I'm delighted to be here to discuss optimizing intranet performance with Matomo Analytics. And of course, before I get started, I'd like to give a huge shout out for inviting me here today and to the whole InnoCraft team. And Aaron, special shout out there. We worked on a recent case study that is now live on matomo.org, so you can go take a look at that. Without further ado, let's begin with a brief introduction. So, in my professional journey, I started out as a sysadmin and I managed server infrastructures. And then later, I transitioned into leveraging technical insights for marketing and product improvements. And today at Portland Labs, the creators of Concrete, I combine both of those worlds to optimize websites and intranets. I've also contributed to many open source projects, so Concrete CMS, and that's where I am employed today. I started out as a contributor. Joomla, I've also helped Bitcoin on their website, and now I'm proud to be here contributing my talk here. As I said, I'm Jess. I'm from Concrete CMS, and with Concrete, you have the power to build virtually anything you can imagine on the web. So over time, we've achieved great success with assisting big organizations like the US Army in creating intranets and HR portals. And through this experience, we've gained a lot of valuable insights into what makes these projects successful. And today, I'd like to share some of those tips to help you enhance your own intranet. So this is a topic that's gained a lot of importance lately. In light of COVID-19, the pandemic has vastly altered the way organizations operate, making digital platforms like intranets more crucial than ever. In our experience, when transitioning and aiding the Army, the US Army, MWR, to a work from home setup really underscored how important intranets, maintaining operations, collaboration in remote setups is. So they've never been more important today. Hybrid work is here to stay. Communication is always the key to success. Distraction-free and deep work is important and precious. And a great intranet and remote settings can help your organization with a more digital employee experience. So the US Labor of Statistics did a survey around 2 million people and found that 27.5% of workers are working from home or in a hybrid model. Also with that survey, over 50% of them had not ever worked remotely before and have been working less than a year. Also, most of the respondents when asked what they would change about the workplace, only 1% indicated that they would like to go back to the office. So this shift in self-identification represents a huge sea of change now that more of us see ourselves as remote workers. We have new sources of motivation to improve our abilities, adapt more efficient workflows, and strengthen our remote experiences. So I've been working for Portland Labs and working from home for the past 10 years. But let's get into intranets. So I like to take just a minute to define what an intranet is versus a regular website. So intranets generally are designed for a very specific group of users. Typically, it's within an organization and used for internal communications and tasks. Intranets are generally accessible only to employees or members of the organization and usually requires some type of login credentials. And generally, for the most part, it's not accessible to the general public. The purpose of intranets, definitely the content within them contain information that's relevant to operations, internal policies, maybe employee directories, project management tools, internal news. But the main purpose of intranets is to improve internal communication, collaboration, and productivity within your organization. Where a normal website serves a variety of purposes, including marketing, e-commerce, information sharing, and entertainment. And that list can go on and on. So, our journey begins with recognizing the essential roles of Matomo Intranet Analytics. Matomo gives us really great insights on how users interact with intranets, and this empowers us to make very well informed decisions on how to improve. Its adaptability, versatility, and commitment to user privacy is a potent tool and really important for the work that I do. And a couple things with the intranet analytics that I love from Matomo is you can set up Matomo intranet analytics with no internet access, and that can be important, especially to government informations that are government places that need to host their analytics on premises. When tracking visits in an intranet site, Matomo assumes that many people will have the same configuration, meaning, for example, similar computers, a similar browser, similar phone, similar IP address, and this helps track individual users a little bit better and identifies them versus normal analytics where it might show up as one user. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about the different types of intranets. Now, there's a lot of different ones. Corporate news, there's learning management systems, social intranets, project management systems are definitely a type of intranet, document management, operating procedures, timesheets, and jobs. Those are all different types of intranets. Over 60% of intranets are considered ineffective. Historically, intranet projects fail because generally they're an afterthought, right? But the importance in a post-pandemic workforce is increasingly important. So employees seek for more enhanced productivity. What are some of the reasons intranets are not effective? Too many goals, right? Or vague goals. One of the primary challenges that intranets is they often have very vague goals. Organizations may start an intranet project with the intention of addressing multiple objectives all at the same time. So, for example, they may aim to improve employee culture, reduce turnover, enhance internal mobility, manage compliance, improve communication, support knowledge management, even increase revenue through a sales portal, right? So all of these are fine goals, but the lack of clear specific objectives can really lead to a disjointed, ineffective intranet strategy. So most intranets were built with a vague strategy, poorly defined goals, and really asking, what is your intranet for? Is it for uh, engaging in improving retention and culture, satisfying HR or compliance needs, driving adoption of IT systems, finding knowledge across the organization. Maybe it is sales teams and partners. But the important thing here is making more important data driven internal communication decisions. And you can achieve any or all of these with a really well defined intranet strategy, but most companies simply don't. An intranet simply means private website. It's pretty vague. So many different types of solutions within businesses are offered by many vendors, each with their own purpose and bias. Well, some of them might be important to your organization, none of them are an all inclusive solution, right? So we might be using an HR portal for our benefits, learning management for training, a wiki for knowledge sharing, and then we also might be using Microsoft Office or Google Drive for our documents. And all of these things together may be a couple of different intranets. So, bad results. With too many goals, partial products that overlap, and an unclear management strategy, it's not surprising that intranets fall short. And there's no clear governance team, no cross organizational buy in, decentralized and reactive. There's not multiple channels, no measurable goals, and useless analytics. And a lot of people tend to use workarounds. So, how often is it that you chat one of your colleagues and ask them for a file or to resend an email? And those are all things, all areas where employees will work around instead of finding information. So, What are the steps for intranet success? First step in creating a great intranet is establish clear goals and objectives and ask yourself, what are you trying to achieve with this intranet? Next, with these 8 things, so a great CMS, buy-in from management, personalization, you'll need a great search. Just to touch on search a little bit, not everybody uses navigation the same. My husband and I were speaking just the other day when I was going through this. I use search on every single website that I go to. I don't use drop down menus, I don't use navigation. I use their website search first thing. So, and if it returns non relevant results, I'll either leave or I go back to Google and use some advanced searching techniques from them. And then multi-channel, so making sure that you can connect through different areas. And of course, analytics, clear and powerful reporting is crucial. So let's discuss intranet goals or objectives. I use those terms a little bit interchangeably. These goals are going to be the basis for the measurement and how well your intranet is doing. They clearly state what we want to accomplish with our intranet and help us shape great uh, and enhance it. Businesses commonly have specific goals for their intranet, and these goals can serve as foundation for measuring success. Some of these are making internet work efficiently and aligning with the overall mission. These specific objectives for agencies might differ depending on the unique missions, goals, and needed for their users. However, some of them are enhancing internal communication. So, intranet should help different departments and teams and individuals communicate efficiently within the agency. Promote collaboration. Your intranet should provide access and tools to platforms that support their work, like sharing documents, managing projects, and facilitating communication. Streamlining processes by offering an easy to access resource and applications. An intranet should improve internal workflows and processes. Centralizing information, it should act as a single dependable source of truth for critical information. These might be your policies, procedures, news updates, and more. Fostering a strong agency culture, intranets that contribute to building a cohesive agency culture can definitely be encouraging engagement, sharing successes, creating a sense of community, and then of course supporting professional development. So training resources, training materials for skill development and career advancement. And then to evaluate these successes of these objectives, agencies need to use specific metrics to align with each goal. So in the following sections, we'll explore different types of metrics that are right in your Matomo to help you measure progress effectively. Right, so now we're going to align metrics with the goal. So to ensure success, it's essential to align metrics with the intranet objectives. Metrics should directly measure the success of each goal, and this alignment ensures that your intranet serves as its intended purpose. So I generally categorize intranet metrics into these 3 categories: usage metrics, engagement metrics, satisfaction metrics, and these categories help assess aspects of the intranet performance. Of course, I believe Matomo has well over 200 dimensions and metrics, but that doesn't mean that every single one of them matters. So when we talk about usage metrics, all of these are right in Matomo, but usage metrics help us understand how users interact with our intranet. Could be the number of unique logins, frequency of logins, pages viewed per session, time spent on the intranet. These types of metrics track user engagement, the bounce rate, the percentage of users who leave an intranet after viewing only one page, how many pages they visit in a session. Peak usage times is always a great one. Identifying peak usage times can help you identify when you should schedule updates, maintenance, or critical announcements. So we've definitely launched websites, in the middle of the night, but also when it comes to a global project, viewing those usage times is important to see when your server is the busiest. So these metrics help determine the reach of your internet. They highlight high traffic areas. They'll review where users spend the most of their time and uncover usage patterns that can guide optimization efforts. So I generally, with each objective, I use one or two of these metrics at a time. I generally always have two. None of these metrics, except maybe the usage times, are going to be good to look at on their own as one. So viewing a bounce rate and how many pages per session or the time on page is going to be the way you want to be looking at your metrics. All right, our second category are engagement metrics. So engagement metrics focuses on the interactions and engagement with the content. Metrics may include the number of new posts or articles, the frequency of content updates, and user satisfaction through surveys. So I was at a session early yesterday that there's a complete Matomo plugin that runs surveys. So I'm really excited to check that out. But your engagement metrics, they offer a deeper understanding of how your users interact. So some of those might be metrics such as comments, likes, shares. Those will indicate the polls and surveys. A high participation rate suggests that users feel a sense of community and involvement. Downloads, the number of downloads of resources like PDFs, guidelines, or forms can actively tell you how users are using those resources. And then completion of training courses. So Matomo tracks videos right out of the box. You don't even have to set that up. Same with download tracking. Um, and then forum participation, also the use of search. Again, search is a great tool for analyzing. You're not going to find anything better. You can always, it's like reading people's minds, right? They're telling you exactly what they need without even having to ask for them. So always reviewing search metrics to see if that content even exists on the site, and actually going through and typing those into your intranet to see what content is available. Satisfaction metrics. So these are crucial for engaging satisfaction and feedback. Some of these overlap a little bit, um, but survey results, feedback, regular feedback, and collection can offer qualitative insights into user satisfaction, highlight potential issues. There's customer loyalty scores. So how likely are users likely to recommend the intranet to their colleagues? Customer effort score is a measure of how easy it is to complete a task off of your intranet. So collecting and analyzing these metrics can ensure your intranet meets user expectations, contributes to a higher satisfaction and engagement. And this slide, you can push pause. I'm not going to read this slide, but this is everything we just discussed wrapped up into one. So to ensure your intranet meets its intended goals, each objective should pair with one or more metrics and provides the means to quantify and analyze the performance relative to that objective. So this table outlines 8 common objectives for intranets and maybe some example corresponding metrics that can help you measure success. The table is a good starting point, but remember the specific metrics that you should align with your agency objectives and the needs of your users. You may also need to adapt your metrics over time as your intranet evolves, and we'll discuss that through a few case studies here at the end, and gain more insights into user behavior and preferences. But to sum it up, building a successful intranet within your agency means choosing the right metrics that align with objectives. This, in turn, offers actionable insights and reflects your users' needs and behaviors. So this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. The best approach here is to continually review, update, report, and refine. uh, That'll serve your users the best and help you with an evolving intranet and your user needs. After all, it's all about making an intranet more useful and more engaging for the people who use it today. All right, moving on to benchmarks and targets. So these are essential for measuring and promoting ongoing success. So benchmarks represent the current state of performance, while your targets are your desired goals. Benchmarks are the current state of your internet performance. They offer a quick snapshot where you stand at any given time or point. To establish benchmarks, you can either look into your historical data from Matomo, and if you don't have a historical data, if you're starting with something fresh, you can consult and look for industry standards. For example, if your internet current engagement rate is 30% when you open up Matomo, this becomes your initial benchmark. So an engagement rate benchmark, content creation benchmark. So let's say your internet is generally has an average of 50 new posts per month or 50 new articles. This figure can be a benchmark, and your goal will be to increase those pieces of content. Page load benchmark. So if the average page on your internet is 4 seconds, this becomes your starting benchmark. Survey response. If your internet survey response rate is currently 60%, that will become your initial benchmark. And you can aim to improve these rates over time. And then there's user frequency benchmarks. If the user logs in twice a week, this serves as the benchmark, and you can target increasing those later. So when we bring it all together, our benchmarks provide the snapshot of your current performance. So the engagement rate of 30%, and your target will be to increase it to 40% within the next 6 months. So these benchmarks and targets will guide your efforts through your performance and internet experience. And regular monitoring will help you stay on the course of success. Here's another example. So content creation. So our benchmark is going to be 50 posts per month. And then maybe we aim to generate a minimum of 75 new posts or articles per month, representing a 50% increase, right? Surveys and, or excuse me, login frequency. So, the metric is the login frequency. Benchmark is twice a week. That's what we're finding in our analytics. And then the target will be we want to have users log in because it improves productivity at least 3 times a week within the next 3 months. Again, you can push pause, but when we put it all together, this is what your objectives, your metrics, your benchmarks, and your targets are going to look like. Now I am moving on to some of our case studies. So let's dive into the real world case study of Brand Central. So this was developed by us at Portland Labs, and this is a digital asset management system, and it serves a role in managing images, videos, audio files for marketing purposes on the U.S. Army MWR websites, digital screens, and print materials. So the U.S. Army MWR, a little bit about them, they take care of soldiers. They deliver the family, moral, welfare, and recreation programs and services across the globe. So there's over 100 installations around the globe with more than 3,500 businesses and millions of active duty soldiers, family members, veterans, community members coordinating communication. So installations are like small cities, right? And these are all over the globe. So there's bowling alleys at most of these that all need to share resources, images across the agency. So, however, they had this digital dam. They faced a lot of challenges with legacy systems. There was an older proprietary dam mixed with a SharePoint installation that caused frustration among marketers and content editors. Users struggled to find assets, leading into delayed content creation and distribution. And we did stakeholder interviews and user journeys. And those uncovered common issues like leading to dead end search results, broken links, outdated data, confusing navigation. systems. I think there was like a duplicated nested navigation that really made things confusing on their intranet. So let's talk about the objectives, goals, and let's pick out the Matomo metrics that they would need for a successful intranet. So number one here, of course, enhancing user engagement is going to be the objective. So the first two metrics I am going to present after we launch would be the number of downloads, and then a download conversion rate. So the percentage of visitors who initiate the download. Those are the two metrics and the one objective that we want to measure. The other area that we can check out that is in Matomo that I just looked into is to review the user ID reports. Now, I think there is some technical setup to these, but to access these, you can navigate to your visitors section in the main menu of Matomo. But this report gives you a really nice table and listing of all the registered users that have engaged with your website during the time frame that you choose. So it includes details as the number of visits, the number of actions performed by each user, and also indicates whether the user has achieved at least one goal conversion. So this is a really cool report that you can add to your intranets as well. And then, of course, tracking downloads is super easy in Matomo. So to keep tabs on when your visitors download items like brochures or photos or software from your website, Matomo will automatically do the tracking, and that was one of my favorite pieces about Matomo. Is so many things were set up automatically that I didn't have to do any configurations with, and one of them was downloads. It tracks videos automatically. Those are great metrics. So Matomo will automatically recognize a download as a click. And as long as it finishes with some common file extensions like PDFs, Excel, Word documents, templates, things like that, it's automatically going to track those for you. So what does success look like? So after regular reviewing and reporting is essential. So we started to evaluate metrics and start comparing them with benchmarks, shared reports with stakeholders to gather feedback for continuous improvement. But shortly after the launch, there was 732 active users using the new DAM system. There were almost 40,000 downloads, and 70% of users visiting the dam were making a download. So now, because users are making multiple downloads, our engagement rate is well over 100%. So we've had to move on and choose some different metrics in that area. But regular reviews and reporting are always going to be essential. And here's how some of our metrics have evolved over time. So adaptation and monitoring. So the U.S. Army, for the first time since 2011, they introduced a brand new brand that redefines what the Army means for a new generation. And with that, they also created a whole bunch of new logos and new assets that needed to be added to the digital asset management system. So when we started looking to this and we are regular reporting, I think when it came to the new logo, we needed to find out if brand awareness and are people updating and using the new brand. So the metrics that we can use are, downloads again, the target audience within the initial 6 months, and then remaining flexible and adjusting things. But here I'm including an image of the old download counts versus the new brand. So are people updating and using the new brand? Overall, it looks like overwhelming yes. There are many downloads. I did find one old logo that's continuing to be downloaded. And there's a couple way we can lower that, right? So this is an example of where we want that old logo to not have very many downloads. So one way to improve those metrics would just be to remove the asset, right? We could just remove the logo and probably improve greatly there. Another way might be to add a message stating and a link to the new logo that you should be using this, because there are times where you may need an old logo for something. So that is one way that we continually monitored and gave some different metrics as their dam changed and improved. Another feature that we measured on later was an AI system that we put into place. So when people are uploading images and getting their images ready, they don't need to do any tagging, any organization of them, and all the metadata, alt tags are all filled out for them. And when I looked at this a few years ago, there are about 8,000 files. And I would estimate when you get, when you're preparing an image, and you're manually typing in the metadata and the information, preparing it for upload, it takes about a minute, maybe 30 seconds per image. And when you add up all that time saved, that users weren't having to add the metadata, it was ended up being 133 hours saved just by taking some images in a short period of time. There's obviously lots more images now that we can talk about today, but this is when we did the reporting. Our next case study is the Home Depot. So we did not do this installation. This was done by one of our partners. But the Blue Atlas was our partner. But the Home Depot struggled with the implementation of a sales training program for its geographically dispersed appliance sales team. So they were all over the globe. And they were quite a few multiple approaches that included an LMS and regular online trainings were attempted, but none of them achieved the level of success that stakeholders expected. So when Blue Atlas was retained to design and develop an innovative online solution that would engage the sales representatives to take advantage of learning content with the goal of continually and consistently increasing sales of appliance and warranty plans. So the objective in this scenario is to design and develop an innovative online training solution that, one, engages sales representatives effectively, and two, leading to the increase of sales of appliance and warranty system among the Home Depot's geographically appliance sales team. Right? So these were some of the metrics that you could absolutely track for user engagement and adaptation. There was a quiz at the end of each training that you could take to complete. So that was another metric. So quiz participation. Sales performance, right? So the metrics were appliance warranty sales, and then the revenue generated from the sales, the sales conversion rate, so like the percentage of portal users who purchased appliance plans, and then the average sales per store. So these objectives and metrics are designed to track the success of this online training portal implemented by Blue Atlas for Home Depot. So with this focus on engagement and impact on sales, let's take a look at the results. So by implementing the user attraction campaign, the adoption of the online training portal increased, over 10 times with a consistent month-over-month usage. So that's pretty exciting. We're getting sales representatives logging in and actually finishing the training. And because a result of being engaged and finishing that training was this in turn resulted in improved sales, with the average store achieving a 35% increase in the appliance warranty sales during the second year of portal usage. So pretty exciting for the Home Depot. My next case study. This is NASA's wiki. They made a wiki about their wiki metrics. So this is probably an example where they have way too many goals. But if you do a quick quick Google search for the 5-year NASA Wikiversity, you're going to see an example of how analytics and a set of wikis can really educate and motivate users. So this page was taken directly from from NASA's wiki, and it was originally created to look at the growth of the wikis over the first 5 years. But the data, a couple of they in, they had a couple difficulties in handling operational information. So data was dispersed over many files, file locations. There was no naming system causing in duplication. There were undefined, dependable system that they were logging into. And of course, there's an increased risk of having outdated information due to their current systems. So their objective was to overhaul the information management system to ensure data was easily available and current in enhancing the overall efficiency. I chose this one because they had so many metrics, and it was they have a lot of different cute metrics there. But increase user participation, and then engagement, feedback, and testimonials. They wanted to enhance collaborative knowledge building and sharing, so content growth, and user diversity. So user diversity ensures that content creation is distributed across a diverse user base. Here is one of the charts. I really loved how they identified lurkers, so people who just visit, contributors and collaborators on the wiki. So I suggest go ahead and take a look at that. It's a non-concrete CMS example and it gives you an overload of data. But NASA people tend to love that information overload. And then I have one last final case study that I'll go through fairly quickly. Again, this was Army Senior Executive Portal. This was done by one of our partners, Wayne Stewart. And the key objectives here are the problems. They had an outdated internal website that was difficult to maintain. It was inefficient. It hindered information updates to the senior service officers in the US Army. That's what SES. They found it challenging to access and to use. They struggled to post in timely content, and they ended up resorting to workarounds and alternative communication channels. So repetitive questions and ticketing led to reactive support efforts. So, and then also because of all of those questions and repetitive support tickets, it limited the time for web presence and improvement. So the goals here were to improve website usability, user engagement, content management, efficiency, and make sure that internally they were able to update their profiles and their information so it is accurate and up to date. Right, so a couple other areas that were tracked were going to be page views and interactions with the updated profile. Also, you could things like likes and shares could have been used, time on page. The results of this were the executive portal increased its usage by 150%. Uh, a couple of paragraphs were added to the training development area by a contributor with absolutely no training within the first day of the launch. So that was pretty cool. And then 25% of officers updated their profile data within the first week. So I would say those are all great metrics to track. And that concludes my presentation. If you'd like to download my slides, you can go to concretecms.com/intranets. There's a couple of slide decks, there's some video, there's some interesting information. We have a lot of resources about intranets. And of course, there's a contact form there. And if you want to talk to me or my CEO, Franz, about intranets, we'd love to sit and chit chat about the web. I'd also like to open the floor for any questions, and please feel free to ask any questions, share your experiences, share your successes related. and further learning. Alrighty, no questions. So that will conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of the conference. I think there's one more session after this. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, go ahead and visit Concrete CMS /Intranet, and we'll be happy to discuss. Thank you.